We're back. The time is now.
Good morning, folks. How are you? Welcome to NUFC Talk TV. It is Chris, the American Mag, alongside Gary. This morning, for the presser, Eddie Howe should be coming pretty soon, at any moment now, with the latest about Newcastle United. A lot of good questions, I'm assuming, or not. Maybe we're going back to our ways of not asking the good questions, but I don't know. But regardless, we're going to know about the team. We're going to know what we can expect. Waldemare, Wissa. Is Wissa available? I'm sure that's going to be one of the questions. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you are watching on YouTube. And yeah, interact with us. And we want to know your opinion. So let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Eddie Howe coming up in less than 10 minutes. No, more than that. 18 minutes, if you count it. So, welcome, Gary. How you doing, mate?
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, good. It's a lovely Friday morning before the sun really comes out on a Saturday, because obviously I'm really looking forward to the game, if I'm honest with you. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting with the presser today. The Isaac saga has gone. It's past.
Right.
So let's move on to pastures new now. And talk more positive news. And I think that is going to be, for me, the most refreshing thing that's come out of this season so far, is the fact that the saga seems to be well and truly behind us. And it's been, you can say there's going to be an argument, 2 or 4 against, sorry. Some had a good international break. Others didn't fare so well. Not their own fault, if I'm honest with you. So, yeah, it's going to be, like I say, it's going to be interesting making sure that everybody comes back from their international duties unscathed, without too many bruises. And it's going to be interesting to hear a presser from Eddie Howe after we've got the lads in that he's been trying to find throughout the transfer window, because we've not really had much chance to obviously hear Eddie's side of it post the Walter Varda and Wissay joint. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, mate.
Yeah, for certain. I think the big question for this week, is the Wissa Waldemare. I think that's what everybody really is into right now. I mean, it's and maybe how the team will form, obviously, thinking about both. If they can both play, I doubt it. I don't think both will play. I just don't see it at this point in time. But listen, it could happen. But only Eddie Howe will know that one, and we're going to get his answer, of course. A lot of people talking about football is back, and they cannot wait. So, of course, everybody's excited that football is Premier League football, at least, is back. Quite honestly, I won't deny that. I think everybody's really expectant on what the team can do. We definitely need 3 points over the weekend. Tomorrow, I think we need 3 points. Do you not?
Oh, absolutely. I think this is for us. Like I said, post all of the saga, this is where our season really gets going. And like I say, I do feel sorry for the lads because they played really well. You can say 2 out of 3, but apart from the leads, they it seemed as if they'd lost their way a little bit. It was the first game that I actually noticed us missing a centre forward. Against Aston Villa, I thought it was really good at Villa Park. Against Liverpool, even, I thought it was outstanding performance, going down to 10 men and fighting back 2 goals down to get level, and then obviously a kick in the teeth. And I think maybe that was the knock-on effect as we saw on Leeds. And that's why I said, for me, as much as I don't like the break in the season so early on with the international break, I think it's probably done the lads the world of good just to get away from it, to get away from Newcastle and all the crap that was going around us. It's a bit of fresh air for them, change of scenery. They can come back, fresh mindset. Like I say, multiple have excellent international games. Tonali, Bruno, especially in the midfield. And I think against Wolves, that's going to be a real highly contested area, because we know Andre and Joe Gomez are very good for the Wolves team. So for me, that is a battle that must be won. And to see our lads at international level perform the way they did fills me with confidence, mate, to be fair. What we need now is some end product from our forwards, and I'm not just saying the attackers. Now we've got Voltemada and Wissa. We need to start seeing an end product from the lads that are supporting them, both on both wings, because to be fair, we've looked a little bit blunt when it comes to that end product from both sides. It's not just, Alanga, it's not just Anthony Gordon, it's Harvey Barnes as well as Jacob Murphy. There's a lot of responsibility to get this right tomorrow. And I'm hoping Eddie Howe has worked on that, because like I say, at this present moment in time, it seems as though there's more than just one player void of a little confidence.
Yeah, I agree. We got a lot of comments coming through now. Good morning, everyone out there in Viewerland. We can concentrate on football, says Alan Mawson. Jordy Dan Eddie has a bench now. Can only be a positive. Kevin Bell here. What's been so nice this week is to talk about options in selection headaches. It's been so long since we've had this amount of competition for places. So yeah, that is one of the biggest things, about that Eddie Howe has now, is that options are available for certain, and that's something that obviously he hasn't been able to have had for a long time, really. It's good options, to say the least, because the whole time he's been as a manager for Newcastle United, he's always had to struggle with maybe lower quality players or players not available. So, but now he has options, so that's it's definitely a positive. It's definitely a positive.
We were talking last night when
we were
we were looking at a team, and I can't remember the last time where Newcastle had such a selection issue. When you look at the amount of internationals that Newcastle now have within the squad for selection, very much like for like in quality. Each individual player gives you something different, and I think that is where Newcastle previously have struggled to say, is there players that can make a difference within the squad? And I think now you look at it, and there's definitely that on the bench across the park, and it's not just in the attacking forward motion of the game. It's also defensively. You've got ball playing defenders now sitting in the wings waiting for their opportunity. You've also got solid defenders that can come in and do a job for you. Into the midfield, you've got very forward-thinking midfielders that like running with the ball, again, to change it up rather than being a little bit more direct. You've got players that like the ball to feet and feed channels. You've got, obviously, we know what the wingers can do. More direct running from the wingers, I think, is a requirement. And again, you look through into our forward line now, and it comes to something when you're scratching your head on who to start and who to bench, because between the two of them, they both give individual qualities that can make it a massive positive for Newcastle. Both totally different players as well. And like I said, we saw the aerial deficiency of Wolves against Everton. We highlighted that yesterday. 33% aerial balls won. So when it's in, you're looking at that, and if you're an analyst and you're coaching, you'd certainly be working tactically on where you can break Wolves down. And like I say, playing this as Pereira does, playing this five at the back with wing backs We know the one lad is quick. We've got to be careful not to leave a space in and behind, because we know if T now does start on the left-hand side, which it looks very much now that he will do, if it's a case of being positive and pushing them back rather than allowing them to come forward. And like again, and I'm sure somebody in the chat can back me up on this. When was the last time we had this scenario where we literally struggled to name a side because of the actual quality coming in off the bench now? It's great for Eddie Howe. It's a headache, but it's great for Eddie Howe to actually have that choice. And like I say, players that do make a difference. Kevin Bell has just come in with a good one. What we've sometimes lacked over the last 2 or 3 years is an option B or C. Absolutely agree with that. We get to 65 minutes sometimes and not really knowing what to do next to change a game. We have many options to do this now. And that is exactly what I've just said. The beauty of it is you can throw that big striker in the 10. He likes to be the target man. You can have Wisser running off behind. You can throw Wisser on the left-hand side if we need to. There's so many options for Newcastle now. And you're absolutely right, Kev. It's been a long time coming, this, where we've actually been able to look at a squad and make a change that changes the emphasis of the game. So, yeah, I agree with that one, matey. I'm just going to have a quick look while we're waiting for Chris to come back. We are still a few minutes away from the start. Trolls is saying Botman should start. He is fit and better than Byrne. Well, they both give you something different, and that's what I said. For me, it's a case of, does Byrne gives you the heart and the passion. He hasn't got the quality, but he has the desire to win, and I think that's not something you can coach. Botman has the ability. He reads the game well. But sometimes he can be vulnerable in certain aspects of the game. So for me, and again, great headache to have. You've got two left-sided centre-backs, both of different quality, both really eager and keen to start. You've got two right centre-backs. Again, as much as I think Fabian Schär is at times a detriment and can be vulnerable to certain aspects of the game. Since we have actually signed Malik Chow now, he has developed much better. And like I said, to me, it was far too easy for him not to make the effort or as much effort, but knowing full well that he was going to be selected. And that goes for a number of players within this side. And now he's got somebody knocking on the door. There has been an improvement in Fabian Schär's game. It still needs to sharpen. There's certain areas, especially the percentage balls. I think he needs to cut some of his percentage balls out and just retain possession. Play the simple ball rather than the glory ball if it's just not there, or he hasn't got the ability to do so. I think he tries that far too often for me. But you like I said, none of you guys are wrong, and I think that is what we've got to remember now. What everybody's opinion, there is a damn good rationale behind it, and that is where we are at the minute. Well, Adnan Ali, when you say actually, do you know that for fact? Because that's not what I've seen at Stuttgart, or when you see him in the under-21s where he was top scorer. He played in the deeper role. He played in the 10 rather than the 9. So again, I'm not saying you are wrong. I just would like to know where you've seen that. And when you say a target man, I don't mean a number 9 that lumps the ball up to him. I mean a target man where he drops into the deep slot and plays in the 10 role. So maybe me and you have got a little bit of a cross wire here on terminology. But like I say, he does like to be into that and turn. He's got quality feet. And like I say, for a big man, he's certainly got the ability to be up as one of. We said it yesterday. You know, you think between Isak and Wilson, 27 goals between them in Premier League, or something like that, and 36 for Voltemada and Wissa. So between the two of them, when you look at individual goals, we have got much stronger forward line than we had before. It's whether they can hit the ground running. Time and tides. Let's have a look at this one. Eddie will get the wolf howling guaranteed. Wissa is genius. 1090 times better than Nisak. All right. Like I said, I think this is going to be a good one. Paul Wright. Take a drink every time Gary says again. Love you all though. Keep up the good work. Yeah, sorry, that's just my keep on going. Yano says he doesn't care who starts, want to see everyone getting minutes, but more importantly, want to see everyone contributing to a winning performance. And like I said, that is the hallmark, isn't it? That is where we need to be. That is exactly what we're expecting for everybody to be G'd up and going for this one. Kevin Bell saying, put your bets on now, Louise. Taylor Mental and Isaac. And can't wait to poke Eddie. Yeah, absolutely. Queenie saying it's Friday. He's nearly here. The weekend is nearly here. And I think that is it. I think we've done most of you guys. Welcome, Roger. It's nice to see you this morning, buddy. Where's Chris? Did he eat a dodgy taco last night? Yeah, well, that's I don't know. He's probably gone for a quick slurp. Bless him. It's really early in the morning for Chris. 3:30 in the morning. Bless him, getting up at this time. It is, like I say, it's an interesting one. I'm just going to refresh my screen. Yanu saying, in almost 4 years, how often has Howe played the starting 11 that fans perceive as the best available players? Not often, in my opinion. Well, I think, we went back 12 months. Well, not even 12 months, but you go back last season, and what you have is virtually the side picking itself. And I think that was where us as fans, anybody with a little bit of football knowledge, I suppose, you could virtually pick the side in Eddie Howe's shoes. So now, like I said, there is a for and against, because we've got 3 game weeks coming up. How Eddie manages the minutes of the likes of Kieran Trippier, Fabian Schär is going to be interesting to see because of this 3 game week. You have to take that into consideration. You're not expecting the lads to be running full pelt 3 games a week. It's going to be impossible. And again, you look at J7 returning from injury. Where do you get that where do you get that attention to detail? Now we've got the players that can come in who haven't got to throw these people straight back into the mire. We can wait, make sure that they are 100% fit before we throw them in. So you get that extra 5% out of them, and that you know that they're not going to shy away from a challenge and things like that. So for me, I think it's probably the best squad that I've seen at Newcastle for a very, very long time, if ever, if I'm honest. You right, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. Did somebody ask us? Did anybody watch the show interview at the Stack yesterday? Top man John Joe. I don't know. He was.
He was doing an interview. It was an interesting one. I'll try and bring it up, but I'm sure I've actually saved it. Bear with me a second, and we can have a look at it at a later date. I'm sure I have saved it.
Yeah. Any idea what he said though?
It was.
There we go. We
all about
Eddie
Newcastle, mate. To be.
Eddie Howe, ladies and gents. Let's take a listen to what the manager has to say. Welcome, Eddie Howe.
Good morning. How are you? You right? Good. Yeah, good. Thanks. Morning. Yeah. Morning.
Morning, Luke.
Morning. Okay,
Morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Media Centre ahead of the game tomorrow with Wolves. Usual order, we're going to start with Reza and then we'll go to Pete.
Good morning, Eddie. International break is over now. Has the break been good for you? Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been a good batch of training for us. I think we've really enjoyed, and we always enjoy training with the players, small group, sort of different numbers on different days. We've had roughly about 8 to 9 players, which is always a good challenge to keep them entertained and mentally stimulated for the 2 weeks. But I feel like those players that have stayed, some of them needed some work, and we've got some good work into them, and they're certainly better physical condition.
You move now into a different period in your season, a busy period with 7 matches in 23 days. But given what's gone before and now the transfer window's closed, how important is it for everybody that you look forward now and move on from the events of the summer?
Yeah, hugely important. As you say, the schedule we have coming up, we always knew how this season looked for us. It was a sort of a slow start in terms of week-to-week games, and then bang. You know, we're going to be into a storm of games, and that's what we want. You know, that there's going to be a great period for us in terms of challenges, quick turnarounds. We're going to need the whole squad ready to play, and that's why the last 2 weeks has been good, because we've been able to get work into players that needed it. So I think everyone's in a very good physical condition now to contribute, and it's really focusing on the whole squad in the next few weeks, because that collective is going to be the key thing.
And can you put some of the frustrations and the difficulties and challenges of the transfer window and the early part of the season behind you now? You've had almost this clean break, perhaps. I don't know if reset's the right word, but now you can really look forward.
Yeah, I don't think, you know, we always have challenges in different ways. It was a challenging window, but I think a successful window, hopefully. As I always say, time will be the best judgment of that. But there's always something to push you and test you, and ultimately you've got to find a way to withstand any challenge that you face and still find a way to win football matches, and that's now our clear focus. It's always been our focus, but it's a clear focus now that it's just the football. There's no off-the-pitch distractions, and we're looking forward to that.
This is the first time we've been able to speak to you since Johan Wissa arrived. Why did you want to bring him here? Why did you work so hard to get him in?
Well, yeah, I think an established Premier League goalscorer, which is very difficult to find, difficult to recruit. I think he's got really good qualities. He had an outstanding year, not just last year, but the last few years in the Premier League. So he's got a history of scoring goals. He's done well against us and been a difficult player for us to handle when we've come up against him. And I really admire the journey that he's been on to get to this point, because it's not been easy for him. He's had, big steps to make in his career, but he's always adjusted and made them. So hopefully he can do the same with us.
He's just come back from international duty, hasn't he, in Africa? Is he fully fit and available for Wolves this weekend?
Unfortunately not, no. So he won't make this game. So I saw him for the first time yesterday. He's feeling the effects of the injury sustained just before he came off. So we're going to have to see how he is.
What about Nick Voltemade, who you brought in before Leeds, but he couldn't play? He has trained with you this week, hasn't he? Is he okay for Wolves? Yeah,
he's fine. He's trained well. Been really, really pleased with how he's looked in the first couple of days. Yeah, big change for him. Big opportunity for him as well. I think he's got a great nature, a great character. He's very calm. He's gone straight into our training and not looked out of place. Showed his qualities. So, yeah, really pleased with how he settled in.
Thanks, Reza. Pete?
Eddie, great to see you.
Hey.
I'll start with some brilliant news. This is probably the last time we'll ever have to speak about the transfer window today, so absolutely brilliant. Now the dust settled, how do you reflect on the summer as a whole from a transfer point of view?
Yeah, a lot happened. I mean, I think I always say the same in transfer windows. You can make snap judgments once the signings are initially made, but time always is the best judgment of that. And I think we will see how this is viewed as we move forward. My gut feel, and the initial reaction is it's been, in terms of the incomings, very strong. I really like the group of players that we've added to the already really strong squad. Not just in terms of ability and playing style, but in terms of people. So I think the group and the spirit and the feel of the group will be very strong again. Of course, we've lost a few players in there as well, and that's always an adjustment period for the squad to stabilise and to find its feet, and in terms of a new squad and a new team and all those things that we will now have to go and prove how good we are. But I'm excited about the possibilities of this squad.
Another positive as well, I mean, probably one of the things since you came to the club that Newcastle have struggled with is that they've not been able to sell many players when you arrived here for big fees, so it's kind of probably held the club back a little bit in the market. You've been able to bring in a record transfer fee into the club, and that's going to give you a lot of room to manoeuvre going forward and strengthen. Yeah,
I think selling players with PSR, and I've said this many times before, it is part of any club's future. I think you have to trade. It's something that sometimes you don't want to trade certain players, but you have to trade to produce income. We've certainly been in that position for a long time, and unfortunately, it's well documented, we sold a couple of players that we didn't want to historically for PSR reasons. We hope to be in a position where we don't have to make those type of decisions again. So yeah, I think you just want to make football-based decisions, not financial decisions that you're forced to make. So I think that's the key for us.
Feels like there's a bit of a buzz in the city going into this weekend. You know, on the outside, you look at Wolves at home, maybe on another day, wouldn't be such a big game, but it feels like a big game. The window's shut. It feels almost like the start of a new sort of era for the club in some ways. How excited are you, and how important are the fans going to be this weekend?
Yeah, I sort of agree with that assessment. I think it's a huge game for us in our season, in our Premier League season, because it's been a slow start in terms of results. I don't think it's been a slow start necessarily in terms of performances, but we need to build momentum into our season very, very quickly. The level is so high, and Wolves will be difficult and dangerous opponents for us. They gave us two really good games last year, tight games, and they were more than in those games, and we know and fully respect them, know their quality. So as always, when we play at home, the environment's always a very special one. We need the supporters with us, as they have been in every moment. And hopefully with the quality that we have in the squad, we can get back to winning ways. And
just final one from me. I know traditionally you like to let players sort of a bit of time to bed them in. You've got Nick Waltermaida available. Obviously, Visser missing is a blow for you, but how tempted are you to just chuck him in and see how he copes in the atmosphere of St James's Park? He's obviously played for Germany in the break as well, so he's fit and ready to go. Is there a temptation to just chuck him in there and see how he gets on? Yeah, I think we always view it very much individually. I don't think there's a set formula for new players. It all depends on your need and their, as you say, their fitness and form. I have no hesitation playing any of the new players currently.
Thank you. Andy?
Well, Eddie, after all I think we can describe it as the furore of the transfer window, how nice is it for you to focus 100% on the football, the coaching aspect once again? Yeah,
the coaching aspect is where I get most of my enjoyment, I'd say, and it's been great the last 2 weeks to be on the training pitch and focusing purely with the players, the small group of players that I had to work with, trying to find ways to improve them and get the best out of them, and that's always at the core and the heart of the job that I do. So I've really enjoyed it. Yes, the transfer window goes away for a period of time, which is great. And now we've got such big football tests coming up. Wolves, obviously, the games beyond in a really quick succession that we spend a lot of time trying to plan the next games as well. So, yeah, all football now, and yeah, fully looking forward to it.
Talk about Nick Waltermaida there. He seems to be really kind of throwing himself into Newcastle life. Obviously, he's not been here many days with the international break, but he's been around the city. There's been plenty of selfies, I think, with fans on social media as well. He seems like a really good person. What sort of person have you encountered on the training pitch and around the group so far? Yeah, I think what you see is what you get with Nick. I think he is sort of laid back to a degree, but also really relaxed, funny. He's got a great sense of humour. We could see that straight away. Very warm person. Spoke really well about the team dynamic and
wanting to help the team and bring his qualities to the group. So very selfless in that respect. And yeah, I've seen little pictures of him out and about, which is great because he needs to feel at home. I think that's the biggest thing. We need to help him view the team and the club and the training ground as his new home as quickly as possible. And I'm sure everyone's doing their best to make him settle in quickly.
It's almost like land of the giants at Newcastle United these days. Obviously, Nick, very, very tall. Dan, I think there's potential like 8 starters that could be over 6 foot. Apart from how you feel stood around the likes of Nick and Dan, how close are you getting to a team which has that blend of the physicality, but the athleticism and the dynamism that you want as well?
Yeah, I mean, height's important, but it's not the only quality. As you say, you need a mixture of physical, mental qualities to build a successful team. And I think, Nick's, yes, he's big in size, but he's not necessarily your traditional target man. He's much more than that. He's a very different player to sort of his size. His technical ability is very high, and we've seen that already in training. Really good manipulator of the ball, very good in tight spaces. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to sort of seeing how he can help the team and how we use him, because time will tell. Trying to mould and adjust to him and vice versa. So, but I think he's got standout qualities that we need, and hopefully he can help the team.
Obviously, there's not been signings just on the pitch. There's been signings off the pitch as well, with David Hopkinson coming in. I just wondered if you'd managed to have a chat with him so far. Yeah,
several conversations. Great person, again, really great energy. I laugh because he's very, very positive, and I think he's a great appointment. I think it's an appointment that was much needed. Unfortunately, with Darren's illness, left a big gap, and David will come in and hopefully take the club off the pitch, as you say, into a new direction.
Just finally, what's the other team news ahead of Wolves tomorrow? I know Jacob Murphy's hand was a bit sore after starting the Great North Run, apparently, but what else is there going on?
I think he's fit with his hand. Jacob Ramsey's the only other injury concern that we have. I think he'll miss the game, having suffered from that tackle against Leeds. So his ankle swelled up at half-time, meant he had to come off. And unfortunately, I think he'll be missing until the next international break, so that's a big blow.
Thank you. Nisha?
Morning, Eddie. Just following on from that, is Joe Linton fit and available?
Joe has trained during the last... I'm just trying to sort of remember how many days he's trained, but yeah, he's been fit and available. He's been out on the training pitch and he's looked good, so really happy to welcome him back, such an important player.
Voltemada and Visser, we've spoken a lot about them. In the future, could you see them playing together?
Yeah, I think I've answered this question many times on Callum and Alex. Historically, yes, but depending on the team's needs and whether tactically that's the right thing. But I never rule out the possibility of playing 2 centre forwards together at the same time. Certainly they've got the sort of characteristics to play together. It's not like they're the same style of player. But obviously we have a way of playing, and I wouldn't necessarily at the moment want to deviate too far from that.
Your competition for your full-backs it's incredibly strong at the moment. How is Lewis Hall getting on, and is he close to pushing for that start?
Yeah, Lou is one that's really benefited, I think, from staying with us during the international break. So he trained well and trained physically really well too. So I think he's in a much better condition now than before the break. Yeah, so I think he's getting there, and he's certainly going to play an important part in the coming weeks with all the games that we have, and his qualities are undoubted. It's just a case of, with him being such a young player, making sure that we manage him right on the return from this injury, because it was a serious injury he sustained.
Thank you. We'll go to Damien, Mark, Chris and then Ian, please. Damien?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
On Nick, is the challenge to him to go and do what Alex did here and make himself a star?
Make himself a star. I think I think that's a difficult one. I think that the challenge for Nick is to adjust to the Premier League, to us, to how we play. I think there's a lot for him to take in, but I think I say this to any new player coming to the group: we just want them to be themselves, commit to what we ask them to do, give everything in every moment, and the process then will naturally occur that we think he has the qualities to become a very, very good player for us in the short and long term. Really like what I've seen initially, but I don't want to put too much pressure on him. I think there's enough on him already. We just want him to be, as I say, himself and just commit to what we ask him to do.
And just looking back at the summer, what lessons will the club learn from the Alex Isak saga?
I think that's for another day, and that's for probably people behind the scenes to reflect on. I think for me, I've just got to focus on the future and looking forward.
Thanks, Stevie. Mark?
You mentioned Johan there being out. Do you think it's a long-term injury, or is it something just maybe a short-term injury? Will he be back for Barcelona in contention?
Yeah, I don't know currently as I sit here. I think he'll go away for tests and maybe see a specialist to see. So unfortunately, I can't give you that update.
You mentioned there about David Hopkinson coming in, potentially a director of football coming down the line as well. Do you feel like the environment around Newcastle is probably as positive as it's been for kind of a year, 2 years?
I think that these are appointments that I've said many times, and I think the club would acknowledge as well, need to be filled. Darren Eales did a great job as CEO, and obviously an area that I don't really know a lot about in terms of sort of the day-to-day work that he has done, but did a great job for the football club. And now David comes in with his expertise, a rich experience as well in different countries. So I think he's a brilliant appointment by the club. And then, of course, a sporting director, that's absolutely vital for our future and our organisational structure. So positions that need to be filled, but as I said many times, need to be filled by the right people.
Thanks, Mark. Chris?
Morning, Eddie. In terms of the Alexander Isak situation, obviously you said you detached yourself from it for a while, and it had proven to be, I suppose, distracting for everyone around the club. Is it good that there is a resolution to that now? That if he'd stayed, obviously you'd have had a very good player around, but maybe the questions would have continued. The fact that can be closed off, is there a positive to that in terms of focusing on the football now?
Yeah, I think there's a positive naturally when the window shuts, because you know the squad you have to work with, and there's no grey areas, so you're able really to focus on the players, and from my perspective try to communicate with them, sit down with all of the group really, and then try and navigate our way through what's ahead and make sure we're all aligned, we're all together, and we all know what's expected of us in the next few weeks. It's going to be intense, it's going to be a brilliant period for us footballing wise, some great games. But to achieve success, as we've always said, you need the group together and thinking along the same lines, and it's never about any individual, it's always about the collective. So now we move forward with that train of mind, that train of thought in our heads.
And obviously in terms of Alex's quality, it was always going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to replace him like for like. He brought in 2 strikers. Can you explain the process of getting towards those, and what you sort of see them bringing in instead of Alex, and what they can bring going forward? Yeah,
I think that's a good question actually, because you can never, I think it's been impossible to replace Alex like for like. There's no other player like Alex. He was totally unique and had his qualities. And it's important I think we don't compare whoever we bring in to Alex, because I think that's very difficult to do. I think each player that comes in is an individual in their own right and has their own strengths and weaknesses. And as I say, there will be a process where we have to mould ourselves to them, and as I say, vice versa. So both players have standout qualities. I mean, Johan's, as I said, a proven Premier League goal scorer, very, very good finisher, real threat in the box, another hard worker, but a good player technically to link play. And Nick is very, very creative. I think hopefully you'll see around the box, and his ability to link play and to find passes will really help us in that final third. So, different players. Yeah, I don't think you can compare even any of the 3 strikers that we've just discussed, but hopefully individually they'll all perform well for the team.
Thank you. Ian?
Morning, Eddie. I've heard 1-2 fans say that you've now got the strongest squad since you arrived, but not necessarily the best starting lineup. What would your views be on that?
Yeah, I think that's very difficult to define. I think the time will tell, the future will dictate that. I really like the squad. I think the squad has depth to it. I think it's got really strong players in all positions, if everyone's fit, fighting for starting places, which I think is always a great thing. And the starting 11 look very difficult to compare back to even the team last year. This will be a new team, and we're going to have to win a lot of games because that's our expectation of ourselves.
I've no doubt you watched the two Germany games during the international break. Two frustrating games for Nick. Did you learn anything new about them, and did it sort of confirm he's not an isolated striker? He's someone who needs to be more involved in build-up play?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's an isolated striker. No striker would want to play on their own with no support play. So I sort of dispel that myth. You know, we will want to get players around all of our strikers, whoever plays. Sometimes that, for whatever reason in a game, doesn't happen, and you can sometimes look at your striker and feel he's too isolated, and that never helps his performance. So, yeah, of course I watch those games, and of course you learn something from every game, not necessarily about Nick, but about football. But I think we play, and will, of course, all teams play differently. We will envisage Nick playing a certain role for us, and we'll try and get the best out of him.
Thanks, Ian. We've got to Craig, Lee, and then to Jordan, please.
More than Eddie, it's obviously the first time you have spoken since Alex left. And a lot has been said around this. Can you just talk to us about your relationship with him, what it was like, what it became in the summer, and what it's like now?
Yeah, I think Alex and I always enjoyed a great relationship. I loved working with him. I hope that he loved working with us. It was mutually beneficial. You know, I think we helped him become the player that he in part is today, and he helped us as a team achieve some unbelievable milestones, and of course he was part of a very successful team. I think, just giving you a bit more on that, I think the moment that he went on strike, our relationship did change. And yeah, I think that was probably a turning point that our relationship took.
Changed in what way, and have you spoken since, and would you like to repair that one day? Just tell us about that change, if you can.
Yeah, no, I just think, yeah, obviously communication became difficult from that point onwards. I won't go into it any more than that.
Thank you. Lee?
Eddie, just on the new signings coming in, and obviously the Isak situation gone now, is this a real chance to sort of fully turn the page on the next episode for Newcastle United?
Yeah, I think so. I think every season is that, really. That's my view on it. Regardless of what happened last year, for all of us, we start again. When we start from zero, and we have to earn everything and achieve everything then together from a very clear start point. So, and I think that's a really important message to the players, because you can't live off last season, you can't live off history. The future's there to be made for us, and we have to attack it together. So this is a new team, a new feel, but one that I think can be successful.
And do you think that the dressing room had already kind of mentally moved on from the Isak saga, if you like? Because they've obviously spoken about it a little bit, saying that in the 3 games that showed signs. Do you think that they'd already moved on long before that transfer went through?
I think, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody in the dressing room. Obviously, Alex was closer to some players than other. I think that's natural. But I think the players were very good at sort of focusing on what they could directly control, and they knew that was the football. And I think as soon as the season started, I think they went into a different mindset, really. And I think you could see that from the Aston Villa performance. It was very strong, it was very committed. You can't play like that if you have any doubts or outside noises affecting the group internally. So I think from that moment, really, when the season started, I think they went into a different place.
Thank you. Jordan, Luke, and then Scott, please. Jordan?
Bruno played at high altitude on the 8 hours of Wednesday morning. Is that something to consider going into the weekend, given you've got a busy schedule coming up as well?
Yeah, definitely. We've had discussions with Bruno, and we continue to have discussions with Bruno to see how he feels. Any player that enters the pitch, we have to be confident, and he has to be confident that he can deliver his best for the team. And I know Bruno will share that view with us, so we'll wait and see.
And just on Nick Voltemade, you touched upon after Leeds, but how much patience is required with him, and I suppose with the Yuan situation, can you be patient with him?
Yeah, I think we need some understanding, which I know the Newcastle supporters will give him, because in my experience here, they've been very understanding of every situation that a player faces. It's a very difficult league to come into and instantly feel at ease and comfortable within it. Now, some players have done that, and we certainly hope Nick is one of those that looks comfortable in the Premier League with the speed change and etc. All the challenges that he's going to face. But it's worth remembering back to Alex. Alex didn't play every game at the start. He was rotated with Callum, and he was bedded in gently, and I think that really helped his long-term success. So every player's different. Let's wait and see what happens with Nick, but we'll certainly support him through every moment.
Thanks, John. Luke?
After today, you probably won't have to speak about him very often again. How much is what you've just said there about your relationship changing? Was it actually a bit of a relief in the end that you didn't have to try and reintegrate Alexander Isak? Because it did go right down to the wire, and that was still very much at play, probably on July 30th.
I didn't look at it that way, really. I didn't know which way things were going to fall right until the end. All I'll ever do is adjust to what the future now looks like, and that future now is without Alex. But we were able to bring 2 strikers in that we feel can really help us, and now my focus is purely on them.
Just one more on Isak and another one on general. But were you shocked when he went on strike? Is that something that took you by surprise?
I don't know if shock's the right word, because I think I've seen lots of these similar situations before. But as I said earlier, it was just about dealing with the situation in the best way that I could for Newcastle.
What does a successful season look like for you? I know you generally get asked that before the first game of the season, but it does feel like the season starts again now. What does a successful season do?
Easy for you to say. Can see what's on your mind.
What is a sexy season? Seems like for you now.
I can't answer that now, surely. Yeah, I mean, I do answer that in one particular way, which is always about improvement and evolving the team. But I think evolving the team is a big thing now, because it's a new team, and it's a team that you can't compare to previous seasons, because I think there's been so much change, which is probably the first time we faced that going into a new season, where there's been more players coming in and more players leaving that maybe I would have anticipated before the window opened. And then for me, it's about getting the team to look like a team and play in the same way, or play in the way that we want the team to play in as quickly as possible. So gelling the new guys is going to be a really important phase now as we go into the season, but there'll be no training, and that's the sort of challenge that we face, because we're playing every 3-4 days.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Luke. We've got to Scott, Kieran, and to Dom, please.
Just to clarify, Eddie, what is Johan's injury? What is it?
It's a knee injury, but I don't really know any more than that. We only saw him for the first time yesterday.
And I mean, there was an awful lot happening, obviously, this summer right the way through, and the club was having to try and negotiate that without a sporting director in place. How difficult do you think that made it? And there is a narrative out there, which I think is probably unfair, that you don't really like working with a sporting director. How would you react to that? And how important is it that the sporting director that is eventually going to come in is top class?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where that's come from. I'm desperate for a sporting director, because the way the modern football club works, I think you need that person, the expertise, the person that's going to lead the club in all sorts of different ways, whether that's the academy, transfers. It's a never-ending network now that the sporting director has to navigate his way through. So it's an absolutely pivotal position. I had a very good relationship with Dan Ashworth, very good relationship with Richard Hughes at Bournemouth for many years. So, no, we need the position filled, but ideally with the right man, the man that can lead the club forward in many different ways and to a very successful era. So, no, I'm fully supportive of the position.
Thank you. Kieran?
Good morning. Could I just ask how important it is now to have players who actually want to be here?
It's absolutely crucial. I mean, very, very difficult to work with players that don't want to be at any football club. And for me, it's one of the most important, especially when recruiting players, one of the most important things that you look for in a player. You can look at the ability in the person, but if they sort of unsure whether to come or whether this is the right club for them, then for me that leaves the transfer a very difficult one to complete. And I think all the successful transfers we've had since I've been here, the players have been undoubted in their want and desire to sign for the football club for many different reasons. That could be, multifunctional reasons. But you can see that want and that drive from them to be here, and that then helps in their performance and in any difficult moments that they face. That their love for the club and their love for the environment shines through. So, and of course the players that you have, you want them to love being here as well, because that's equally as important in their journey through their time at the football club.
And do you see Alex being a unique case? Are you confident the club are building something to keep key players going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think of course that's what we want to do. We want to create an environment and a home for them that they love being at. But I would say Alex was very much part of that and loved his time here. So I don't think that was the issue. I think the issue for him was more when the other club became there. I think that then changed his thought process. But I'd never had a day where Alex didn't look like he enjoyed being at Newcastle 100%.
Okay, last couple to finish. I'll go to Dom and then to Martin, please.
Morning, Eddie. Nick Voldemort has played deeper previously to his striker role, and Johan Visser has previously played out wide for Brentford. Is it as simple as saying you've signed two strikers, or is there versatility almost highlighted when you're looking at your squad as a whole?
Yeah, I think they are versatile players, and I think we like that versatility in any player, as you know from watching the team. Nick has played sort of as a 9, and he's played as a 10. Even his youth days, he'd played as an 8. And Johan's played any of the front 3 forward positions, really. Whether they do that for us, I don't know at this moment in time, but let's see.
And the foreign transfer windows, some of them are still open. Jamal Lascelles recently been linked with a move to Turkey once again, being left out your Champions League squad. Could he or any of the other players potentially leave the club in the coming days or weeks? Yeah,
I don't 100% know what's going to happen with the whole squad. I'd imagine time's running out on certain windows. So certainly from my viewpoint, I'd want to keep the squad together now.
Thank you. Martin, to finish, please.
Morning, Eddie. Newcastle fans were vociferous at Leeds against Alexander Isak when he was still a Newcastle player. Saturday's game with Wolves will be the first time Newcastle would have played a game since he left. Is there a message from you to the supporters?
I don't think I have to give a message to the supporters. I think in the 3 games that we've had so far in the Premier League, they've been absolutely incredible for us, for the team. Aston Villa, they were absolutely amazing. In the Liverpool game, although very painful for us in defeat, I thought the supporters all through the game were there with us, and so disappointed we couldn't get over the line and get something for them. And again against Leeds, superb reaction after the game. So, but I don't feel I have to give any message to the supporters.
And how hard for you was that period when Alex didn't travel into it and then
Yeah, I think it's difficult, yes. But we just tried to get through it in the only way that we can, which is really focusing on the players that wanted to play for Newcastle.
Sorry, last one. Sorry again on Alex. How did you feel when the deal with Liverpool was finally concluded?
I think at the time we were focusing on trying to bring players in right until the end. So again, I've said all through that was in other people's hands. I wasn't really a part of that, so I was working on the other end.
Thanks, everyone. See you
Thank
tomorrow.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
All right. Welcome back to NUFC Talk TV, folks. Don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. We are going to react now to what Eddie Howe had to say in today's presser. A really good one, I must say. Really interesting one. A lot of revealing nuggets that he left out there. So please smash the like button if you are on YouTube. Now you can listen to us on the website as well, live radio style, so you can listen to us there. We're working on more things coming your way, so stay tuned on everything in UFC Talk. All right, so interesting presser, to say the least, about I'm stuck with when he was asked about a sporting director, he said, "I'm desperate for a sporting director." I've always had a good relationship with them. Had a great relationship with Dan Ashworth, and he kept going backwards, but never mentioned Paul Mitchell, the recent DOF or sporting director. It says a lot, and it can just mean exactly what it is, which is I love DOFs, I love sporting directors, but I just didn't like the last one, and we didn't get along, and maybe that was the issue. So interesting to say the least. A lot of questions about Isak. You can say whether, I mean, people are tired of it clearly, but I thought it is the pertinent question. It is the pertinent moment to ask these questions. Now, obviously, if they continue in the next one, I will see an issue with that because there's no point to keep going over and over. But he gave away on that one as well. He said he was disappointed about it. And the relationship changed once he went on strike. And he is the one that brought up he went on strike. What does that mean? Not wanting to train, not wanting to play, and the club still didn't find him. So, it's a very revealing presser, and of course, injuries. Devastated to hear about Ramsey. I didn't think it was going to be that bad, but he's going to be out until the next international break. I mean, and it feeds to the narrative of him being injury prone already.
Yeah. We mentioned it yesterday, and Connor, bless him, said he'd seen him in the training video, which, like I said, they kept it very quiet because I said I hadn't watched any of the Newcastle training videos to see if there was any news on Ramsey, because there'd been, obviously, through the international break, there hadn't been any news from any of our journos regarding Jacob Ramsey, which only swayed towards the positive side of it. When there's no news, it's often good news. So yeah, I'm totally surprised that he's going to be out for at least a month, they reckon, with this ankle injury. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it goes on to say that a lot of suspicion regarding his fitness levels, whether he can remain injury free. Unfortunately, seems to have haunted him from the start of his career at Newcastle. And I saw Rog had put in there that he played something like 39 games. You've also got to remember he was very rarely a starter at Aston Villa. So, he's a bit part player who potentially could be another Willock in the ranks. So we have to be careful on this one. And this is what I said, sometimes you have to look at it from what it is, and it's no point having two midfielders if they're unavailable, because like I say, even though you've got numbers of 6, you're only ever playing with 4, aren't you?
Yeah, I agree. So what do you make on the more important or the biggest sound bites of this presser, which is clearly it's not like Eddie to come out and speak. It surprised me what he said about Isak, to say the least. And he didn't say nothing crazy, to be honest. But usually he keeps everything to himself, and I think he cut himself then and then started saying, "That's all I want to speak on that." Blah blah blah.
Yeah. I think you've got to be very careful now because, like I say, there seems to be a lot of mentioning of whether he down tools actually before he decided to go on strike, or when he was still playing for Newcastle. There still seems to be a lot of question marks over some of his performances and things like that. So you don't know, and you have to look at it from Eddie's point of view, whether this could be a legal matter going a little bit further down the line. And like I said, the Rat hasn't really given himself much light at Liverpool, being late out of the dressing room on a couple of occasions for their training, which hasn't gone down very well according to the reports that you're hearing from there. So, like I said, I didn't realise what Isak was like until I looked into his history, and it doesn't matter what club he's played at. The only thing that he's ever wanted is to look after himself, and it's proven. He's given us 3 good years. I'm never going to take that away from him. He was a great servant to the club, but it is gone now. We have to start looking at what we've got coming forward. And you're right. I mean, it's nice to finally put a blanket over the the past, if you like, and you always knew that this presser, because of it's the first presser after the deal was done, it was always going to be, Isaac again being mentioned. But for me, I do get sick when it's a presser of a pre-match where there's not much talk about the opposition and what you think of where their strengths and weaknesses are and things like that. I if I'm honest with you, I didn't even hear Wolves mentioned once in that presser.
No. Well, to be fair though, it's the only time they get to ask the manager, questions about anything. So I guess you could say it's. Now you got. I would agree. You have to ask something about the game, obviously, but.
I think unfortunately, and I think this is where Newcastle are at the moment. This is what I said. It wouldn't be Newcastle without the bad news following us, because, like I said, no news is often good news. And if there's news to talk about, and now we've got the Wisser injury, and again, you coming back from international break, you think, oh, we're clear. It looks like there's no issues from the scans. There was not a lot of reporting going on regarding the concern of the injury. So I looked at that as if that was a positive. But obviously going and seeing a specialist, that could be concerning going forward. Like I say, especially with 3-game weeks, because then you've got to start questioning who actually starts tomorrow if you are looking further forward the Thursday. So instead of it being, let's put it this way, an easy look at its squad now, it's becoming a little bit harder to gamble on certain factors, because do you keep your main players for Thursday, thinking that tomorrow is going to be an easier game? It just throws a little bit of a spanner in the works now for Eddie. And like I said, we were all very positive before this presser. We were all talking about the depth and quality of the squad. And all of a sudden, we're limited in certain numbers because we still don't know the full fitness of J7 in the midfield. We know Ramsey's out for a month. We know Willock's made a glass. He was seen in training, so there could be obviously an idea from that. Bless him. Connor's just sent me a text apologising. There's no reason to apologise, Dud. It was Willock he saw. It looks very similar, he said in the video. Not a problem, mate. You haven't got to apologise, mate. And that's how it is, you see. We only ever see snippets out there in social media land. That's out. And sometimes, as it was seen before, people were making out that it was Isaac training with the boys, and it wasn't, and it was, when you actually looked into it, it was last season's. There were actually training kits of last season. So, like I say, people will always go out there and try and make something, and I'm not saying, bless him, that Connor did that, but you have to take it for what it is. When we get information, like I say, especially when we're live, Connor, bless him, he does a lot of good work behind the scenes for us. He throws us information as he gets it or as he sees it, and we all make mistakes. And that's what I said. For me, in the journal world, talking about stuff that's gone now, yes, I can understand it, but to keep asking about the relationship that you had to try and make, again, hot ink, if you like, for that clickbait situation in the media world, I think it needs to be put to bed now, Chris. He's not going to give you the information that you want to put in your, in your papers. He's going to give you a snippet, and as you quite rightly said, relationship did go down a little bit when he went on strike, but we knew that. That's not new news, because we heard that literally when the lads went to visit him in his Northumberland house, and they wanted to try and find out where he was and whether there was a way forward between club and player. And he said then there was no coming back from this.
Yeah. I think he gave you what people probably needed, and that's it. I mean, he talked about the relationship, and when he went on strike, it changed. That's all he's going to give you. So they're going to have to dig to find information, and I'm sure share stories about it. But I don't think you're going to hear anything else from Eddie Howe. So maybe down the line in 20 years, you might hear something else. But
you might see it in his autobiography.
Exactly. So, Tony says, how many ways can journalists ask, how do you feel about Isak? Exactly. I mean, but they're trying to get information. But the most important thing, though, going forward is definitely the Wissa situation. Not sure, he wasn't sure what that's going to entail and what how far he's going to be off. But the scan didn't look good. It was a knee injury. Other than that, nobody knows.
No.
Hopefully,
it's
I'm
it's
assuming
a complex joint. So I mean, like I say, you've got your 4 tendons that run through the knee, and like I say, if it's a sprain of one of those ligaments, and they can be quite hard to get over. It's not something that you can run off without that support. So I suppose going to seek a specialist, and I'm not saying that there's not specialists at the RVI. They will look at potentially, an injection, steroid injection, to try and take some of the inflammatory response away from that. But like I say, a sprain to these joints, to these ligaments, as everybody's sprained an ankle and it's sore, you can imagine what it's like in a knee.
Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen there, but we know Willock is available if you need it. But Joe Linton should be, if everything is okay. As Eddie said, Joe has trained. He's been fit and available. He's been out on the training pitch and is looking good. Really happy to welcome him back. Such an important player. So he'll be back, I'm assuming, in the starting lineup. Just a reminder on Jacob Ramsey. Jacob is our only other injury concern, and he'll miss the game. He suffered from a tackle against Leeds. His ankle swelled up at halftime, and he had to come off. Unfortunately, I think he'll be missing until the next international break. That's what shocked me a little bit. I knew he was touched, but I didn't know it was going to take that long. On Voldemare, he said he's fine for the Wolves match. He's trained well, and we're really pleased with how he's looked in the first couple of days. A big chance for him, big opportunity for him. He's got a great nature, a great character. He's very calm, and he's going straight into blah blah blah. We know the rest. So there's no doubt he'll be starting for Newcastle. I think if I had to bet, he'll be starting for Newcastle United against Wolves. No doubt about it. I mean, but
that's what he was saying.
We'll have
Would
to
you
see.
throw him straight in? And I think, like I say, why spend £64 million on somebody to sit and watch on the bench? I know he said, he let Isak come in gradually. He played Callum Wilson from the outset. We haven't got a Callum Wilson to play from the outset, and bless him, as Azul has tried more times than I'd like to mention. It's fits and starts with Asula. So I think tomorrow has to be thrown in the deep end. And I don't like the word sink or swim, but I suppose that's where you learn the most sometimes, is when you're pushed into the deep end and you're trying to find your way through. Yes, it may not be a glorified exhibit in your first game, but who knows? It could be one of those that the first time you touch a ball, you get a goal. Your career starts now.
Very true. Very true. Benny here saying on YouTube, interesting to see if we go with Murphy or Ilanga tomorrow. I'd vote Murphy personally. It's an interesting question. Interesting.
That's what the lads said yesterday.
There.
Yeah. When we did the last night's show, all the lads were going for Murphy rather than Ilanga because they wanted more quality into the box from both left and right side. And I says, well, the only way you're going to get that is if you put natural footers on the on each wing. So throw Ilanga on the left side and Harvey Barnes on the right. And we know, history tells you how poor that's been in past tense.
Mm-hmm. Laura, my husband is a Villa fan, and he said the same. But if Eddie works his magic, he'll be great for us. I'm assuming Jacob Murphy. I really like him. I really like the minutes that he played the other game. I think he was important for us playing good that first half against Leeds, and then obviously he came off, and we had to readjust. But I was really good. There's probably going to be always a cloud hanger over him, whether he is available or not, and that's going to continue to be a thing until he doesn't get hurt anymore. And quite honestly, that was it was a tackle. It was he tangled his foot basically with the other player, and you can say that was accidental, not really anything that he done. So, but obviously, when you get to these situations where you got the injury prone thing over you, anything that happens will be attributed to that, and so it's just going to be a matter of getting over it and continue to be available. Murphy might be more hungry, says Jordy Dan. I don't know. I still would go with Ilanga, but we'll have to see. I guess we'll have to see what happens.
It does make you wonder whether the swelling to the ankle is ligament, though, because usually if you get a smack on the side of the ankle, you will get a bruise with an inflammatory response, but usually curtails after 48 hours with a bit of ice and an elevation. But if he's still got an issue, which makes me wonder whether when he had the bang on the side of the ankle, whether a stud or something like that may have dug into the turf and you get a slight sprain of the ankle, and that's why you've now gone down the avenue of being out for several weeks rather than a couple of weeks. So that does question mark a ligament issue to me.
Yeah. It's we don't know. We don't know what's. I mean, I remember that play, and quite honestly, it just went under the radar. I knew he was hurt, but or touched up. I didn't know it was going to be that long. But man, for him to be gone a month, that's one. That's.
Well, it's a month from now, so it's already been a fortnight.
Yeah, it's already been a while already. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Anyway, smash the like buttons, folks, and let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Anything else that came out of the press conference that you might want to bring up?
Only like I said, it's a huge game. We've been a slow start in terms of results, but I don't think it's been in terms of performance. We need to build momentum into our season quickly, and Wolves will be a difficult opponent. As always, when we play at home, it is a special environment, and we need our supporters with us, as they always are. And I think Eddie Howe realises that, because of the situation that we were in, this is the start of our season now. We need to move forward and try and get that. And, he spoke about the PSR situation. And again, I think, what's been really highlighted over the last 2 weeks, Harvey Elliott getting man of the match in both performances for England. I think Eddie now starts to see, unfortunately, the fruits of the tree starting to mature somewhere else. And that's got to be a kick in the teeth, especially when you've got the likes of Jacob Ramsey now injured, Willock made of glass, and J7, unfortunately, looking a little bit more of an injury-prone player than you'd want in your squad. So things like that will always niggle you. It's like I say, a lad who's performed. Now, Boki made a really good point last night. Is like the fact that even if we'd still got Elliot Anderson, he wouldn't have been in the England side anyway, because it never looked as though Eddie Howe would have ever given him the minutes to shine. So I think that's where we are with Eddie. Eddie likes his tried and trusted, but I think it's got to be frustrating for the coach now to see a player that you didn't want to get sold move on because of PSR situation and do well somewhere else.
Yep. We'll have to see what happens from here. Tomorrow we'll have the match. You can join us live an hour before kickoff with the latest stories, the build-up, and, of course, the match. After that, after full-time, you can enjoy the full-time reaction with a call-in show with fans phoning in from different areas of the world, having their opinion on the match, hopefully with 3 points under our belt, and we certainly need it. Not good looking at 27th place in the was it 27th? That's the 27th. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? No, 17th.
17th.
In the league. It's 27. What the heck?
I'm going to say there's not 27 in there. That confused me big style, lad.
Anyway, it's too early in the morning. It's 4:25 a.m. in the U.S., folks. But yeah, we certainly need the 3 points to say the least. And no
as I
show
say, the
tonight.
only-
I don't think you go.
Yeah, the only other concern was obviously the small point that he made to Bruno. And we talk about midfield being, where we need to win or lose the game. And he said, we've had discussions with Bruno to see how he feels. We have to be confident he can give us his best for the team. I'm not sure if Bruno will share that view with us, but we will have to wait and see. So there you go.
There you go. Oh, yeah, Bruno playing in the altitude, exactly.
Altitude,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, all of that. So, yep. Stay tuned, ladies and gents. If you no live shows on YouTube tonight. If you are listening on the website, it'll be on rotation, multiple shows, 24/7. So stay tuned. If you want to fall asleep to us, listen to us, or listen to us while you're driving, you can go to the website as for now and listen to us there 24/7. We will be streaming our recent, most relevant shows all night, so to cater from viewers all over the world, really. So stay tuned to that one as well, all night, all through the early mornings tomorrow. So stay tuned. Like I said, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much indeed, all of you, for joining us. We'll be back again on the next one tomorrow. Join us an hour before kickoff for the match. See you later, folks.
Away the lads, lassies and bairns.